Welcome to Matters Financial and Geopolitical from a Frontier, and thank you for stopping by. I'm always grateful. Nicolas Maduro claims foes totally failed to topple him as efforts falter. Has claimed he has seen off a dramatic opposition challenge to his rule as those efforts appeared to falter and the United States conceded it was impossible to predict how long he might remain in power. In an interview with Euronews, Maduro boasted that his political foes had failed totally in their quest to topple him. Opponents could march every single day of their lives and achieve nothing. The U.S. Special Envoy on Venezuela, Elliot Abrahams, who was actually blasted by Ilhan, but that's another story, claimed Maduro and his band of thieves were finished. He claimed international pressure meant that there is a storm brewing inside the Maduro regime that will eventually bring it to an end. While Abraham said Washington was hopeful and confident of Maduro's demise, he admitted it was impossible to predict when it might come. The U.S. would maintain pressure over the next few weeks and months, he added, suggesting a quick resolution is no longer expected. I wrote about this on the 4th of February, and I said, let's start with destination Caracas, Venezuela. Here, years of sanctioned warfare, accompanied with rank mismanagement, has brought the country to that Hunter S. Thompson brink, the edge. There is no honest way to explain it, because the only people who know where it is are the ones who have gone over. I was talking about how he was at that time being attacked by a remote-controlled drone, and then I was quoting an article by Andrew Corribico, and in that article he called a Venezuelan coup could challenge OPEC Plus and build Fortress America. He was talking about long-term repercussions that the US could challenge Russia and Saudi Arabia's OPEC Plus alliance and advance its Fortress America geopolitical project in the Western Hemisphere. And just on another note, if one accepts that access to oil defined 20th century empires and the petrodollar agreement was the key to the ascendancy of the United States as the world's superpower, America's war machine runs on, is funded by and exists in protection of oil. Threats by any nation to undermine the petrodollar system are viewed by Washington as tantamount to a declaration of war against the United States of America. The Chavez Revolution was always a rebellion in the superpower's backyard, and the machine was eventually going to bring it to heel by hook or by crook, I said. Therefore, I think Maduro is going down, just like Muammar Gaddafi went down, as did Saddam Hussein. Bloomberg, however, is saying this: in a country with more than 2,000 generals and admirals, only one top officer who commands no troops has pledged allegiance to Juan Guaido. The Venezuelan armed forces are one of the most spied-on institutions in the world, said Diego Moya Ocampos. The High Command benefits from a complex patronage system under which they have preferential everything. In practice, Maduro leads a military government. The Drug Enforcement Administration recently estimated that 15 to 20 tons of cocaine still move from Venezuela to the US each month, according to a person who works with the agency and asked not to be identified. Much of the illicit traffic is controlled by Venezuelan military officers and government officials. Asking soldiers to fall in line behind a new president may have been an error, said Alonso Medina. We have to remember that for 20 years, the armed forces have been an appendage of the ruling Socialist Party, and the opposition is only now talking to them. The High Military Command remains united, and cracks haven't yet turned into fractures that could generate destabilization. He added that in previous uprisings, the key to action lay in the hands of mid-level commanders who oversee troops. So far, there is no evidence they are budging. Hervé tweeted, "Let's pay a tribute to Paul Virilio for his huge contribution to contemporary philosophy. The man is a genius and probably is dead now, but the person who I relied on most for near-term contemporary commentary." And there is another link for a film, Itineraries of Catastrophe, and that's worth watching as well. Trump's wall is like an image from a Jorge Luis Borges story. Sometimes it must be built, sometimes it already exists, sometimes it is called a wall. Sometimes it must not be so called, sometimes it is free, sometimes it costs billions, it is always changing, yet always the same. Trump is now considering whether to add 60 days to the current China tariff deadline to give trade negotiations more time to continue, sources have told Bloomberg. Steve Mnuchin, who goes easy on China, and Robert Lighthizer, who's the bad cop, are in Beijing for high-level talks and will meet Chinese President Xi Jinping on Friday. I take you back to the 10th of December when they had that truce dinner in Buenos Aires, and where the dinner ran over for 60 minutes and where all the guests broke out into spontaneous applause thereafter. I remain skeptical they're going to get a deal, and I think Trump's going to play the good cop. But I think there's cross-party consensus, which is quite fierce. It's going to be difficult to box in that easily.